Yeah, we're live. Hey, it's Aaron, and this is Aaron Live, of course. Um, I got a commission request, kind of unexpected. And normally, what I do is I'll take your name, put you on the commission list, and then when I get to it, I'll contact you back, and then we'll discuss payment and all that kind of stuff. Because I really don't like to take payment until I start working on the commission, because that way it keeps people from paying money and then having to wait a long time and then getting ticked off before they get their piece. In this case, a friend of mine, longtime art buyer, um, asked me about doing a piece, and then he just paid me when I said, "Yeah, I'll do it," and then he just paid me. So now I'm like behind. So I got to so I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'll do it live. And it was an interesting request because it's Elasti-Girl from The Incredibles, but he doesn't want it drawn like animated style like it was with Pixar. He wants it in kind of my own superhero style. So it'll be kind of fun. It'll be my take on Elasti-Girl. So that's what we're going to do tonight. I don't know how long it'll take, but it should be fun. But that brings up another point that I've been thinking of. Is there a sweet spot in terms of time, length of these live feeds? Because I see people that do live feeds all the time, and sometimes they're 2 hours long, they're 4 hours long, they just keep going and going. Generally, mine don't last that long, obviously, because I'm not, I don't have a bunch of people here that we're chatting up. I'm just drawing, and when the drawing's done, I get off. But I'm just kind of curious if you guys out there have a part where you're like, yeah, if these were 30 minutes, it'd be great, or an hour is fantastic. Anything over an hour, and So I am just curious. You guys can throw some feedback in the comments section about exactly how long you're willing to put up with one of these live feeds before you get bored and want to move on. And I'll try and keep that in mind as I plan them in the future. Okay, let's take a look at the screen and see who's here. Johnny Fitz is here. Mark Anthony's here. Sweet. Let's see who else. Nighthawk Warrior Comics is here. Yeah. Okay, I got to put this up. Okay, last time I did a live feed, Nighthawk Warrior spelled my name wrong. He intentionally spelled it wrong here, I'm assuming. But then he corrected me before we went on the air, or tried to, that it was Elasti-Girl instead of Elasti-Girl, and it in fact is Elasti-Girl. So he was wrong again. So he corrected me on Elasti-Girl, and then he spelled my name wrong before, and then he just spelled my name wrong again. Wants to know if I'm mad at him. Of course I'm not mad at you. I never get mad at anybody except my dog on occasion. Stephen Ing is here. He is the guy that's responsible for this live feed because he wants the Elasti-Girl, so he's here to watch, so that's good. Lloyd Delegard, the collector, is here. Interesting story for Lloyd. There was a heritage auction that ended, I want to say, was it last night or the night before? I can't remember now. I wasn't bidding on it. I wanted to, but finances aren't in a way right now that I want to be dropping tons of money on comics, so I'm having to restrain myself. But there was a Captain Marvel Jr. number 10 Mac Rayboy cover. Hitler's on the cover, so it's highly collectible. World War II comic, obviously. It guides for, in the condition, it was a 6.0 slab. It guides for about $600 in that condition, which anybody who knows, when you're buying books that are hard to find, especially Golden Age, you can throw the guide right out the window. But my son was bidding on it because he is a collector as well, and so we were watching this whole thing play out through Heritage, and I thought maybe at a 6.0 might go for $1,500. It went for $2,100. Wow. So Lloyd will appreciate that. He probably has one. Let's see. Angelo says, how's it going, Aaron? It's going great. Thanks for joining me. Jeff Potts is here. I see you're using Gary's Shipman method of live streaming. I don't even know what that means, but probably. You spelled his name wrong? Yeah, okay. Rodney Ulabari is here. Rodney was really upset that he missed the last live feed. And I said, hey, there's always another one. And here it is. And he made it tonight. So David Williams says, less talking, more drawing. David Williams, he's a man of few words himself. So if you guys have not checked out his comic, I almost said Bat Masterson, which wouldn't even be close, but it's the The Western Marshal. What the heck is the name of that book? Type it in for me, David, and I'll plug it. Let's see who else is here. Yeah, Johnny, if you have a question for me, go ahead and email me, or Twitter, or Facebook or whatever is fine. Let's see. He says he has one. Lloyd says he has one of those Captain Marvel Juniors, but it's not graded. Okay, so let's Bass Reeves. That's what it is, and that's through Alliance Comics, right? So yeah, David Williams, tremendous artist. If you're not familiar with his work, check it out. He's doing a book called Bass Reeves, and it's a Western. And it's about I don't know if it's the first black marshal or something of the Old West, or I don't know, but it's really cool. So check that out. All right. So I wanted to show you guys a couple things before we started drawing. One is I just finished a commission, color commission, and it is of Hela from Thor, and of course that's old school Kirby costume. What a nightmare that costume is. Wow. But at the same time, a lot of fun, because anytime I can do old school Marvel characters, I'm up for it. So that's an 11 by 17 full color. If you're interested in getting a commission from me like that, those particular 11 by 17 full color like that with a limited background are $350 for a single character. And they just go up from there. I have some smaller options, but anyway, that I just finished that today, and I thought it turned out pretty well, so I thought I'd share it with you guys. Also, let's not forget about this, because how could I forget about it? I'm always pushing this. This is my sketchbook. Let me get my little scroll on the bottom there on how do you order one of those. 64 pages, full cover, hardcover, the best of the last 20 years of my sketches out of my sketch books, not sketches I've done for people, but actually out of my personal sketchbooks. And it's 64 pages, full color, hardcover. You can get for $25, you can get one signed and numbered. They're limited to 750, or for $45 plus $5 shipping, you can get a headshot on the inside of that, a pretty good sized headshot too. So that's a pretty good deal for just 20 bucks extra to get the headshot. So you can contact me there, or you can just PayPal me directly. But just if you do that, make sure you let me know why you're sending me money, so there's no confusion. Let's see what else we got here. I think that's it. So let's get back to the comments and let's rock and roll. David Williams says, that's a real nice piece, Aaron, that Hela piece. Well, thank you, David. I appreciate it. Any compliment coming from a guy as accomplished as you are, I take very seriously, and I thank you for it. Let's see. Okay. 6 likes now, yay. Okay. I don't even know what that means. All right, so I'm going to click this dude off, sketchbook, but it is available in case you're interested. I want to show you one thing here. We'll drop the camera down, and then I'm going to start drawing. Boom. Okay, now I showed you guys this last time, but I've actually progressed on it, so I just want to keep you updated, because I need to keep plugging the coloring book, because I think I'm going to Indiegogo it here in about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. And it's going to be very, I don't have to raise that much money. I'm just trying to get enough of advance orders to cover the printing costs, which aren't too bad, because, after all, it's a black and white book. So, okay, I'll let autofocus off. I don't know if you can see, this is like some of the most intricate line work I have done in quite some time on a piece. And it's pretty involved, as you can see. I mean, I haven't got to the background of the pirate yet, but and I didn't put the pencil in the lighting effects. I'm all doing that kind of as I go, because the lantern he's holding, of course, is supplying the lighting effect, which is why we have this black shadow area being cast up against the ceiling there, or the second level floor of the ship. And the black areas here are all because of the cast light from this lantern he's holding, and obviously the shadow back here. But I went and I just really put in a lot of line work, and really kind of got carried away. And I really liked how it looked. I haven't done anything like this in a long, long time. But anyway, so there's going to be, this is going to be in the coloring book. And so I just wanted to keep you guys up to date on that. I've also posted this on my social media site. So if you want a better look at it, you can check it out there. And of course, when I'm completely done with it, I will post it. So let's get back here to my comments section so I can try and keep. You know, David, I'm going to bring you on sometime. I can get you on here sometime so we can talk about your project. I don't really do the talk show format, but maybe I should. Everybody else is doing it. It's David Williams, I mean. Thank you, by the way, for your comment on my inking. I appreciate that. In fact, I'll just put it up here because when another artist, says nice things about you, you got to, pump it up. Looks like a Wrightson monster there. Well, everybody knows I'm a Wrightson honk, so it's not hard to find his influences on my work. Let's see. Coloring book, that's the most intricate looking coloring book I've ever seen. Well, it's kind of an art book coloring book, so it's kind of my chance to do some stuff that I want to do illustration wise, but also allow people to get some high-end stuff that they can scan and practice coloring on too. That's kind of the idea. And plus there's little stories attached to each drawing too, so it's going to be an art book, coloring book, storybook all in one. Let me zoom in a bit here. Okay, so I'm doing Elasti-Girl, but I'm doing it in my style, so it's not, this is not going to look like The Incredibles. But I am going to give her with a big booty because that is kind of her thing. I have no idea what I'm going to do here, so I may trash this if it doesn't work out at first. Usually I'm a little better at planning these. I mean, I have in my mind what I want to do, but and as I've pointed out to you guys before, I kind of feel my way through these, pardon the expression, the figure work. I don't really do the stick figure route. I do more of the scribble, create the figure work. So Stephen didn't want her stretching. He just wanted, kind of kind of posing. So we're not going to do any Elasti-Girl stretching. Yeah. That's true. Okay. I will do, I do kind of the classic cross like that to kind of get the center of the face and where I'm going to lay the eyes in at. This is a vellum type surface, so it's really rough, so it's eating up my pencil pretty quickly, but I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Talking to Mike Plug and also Kevin Nolan said basically the same thing when I asked them what they ink with. You know, they both said the same thing, which I thought was funny. They both said whatever's within reach, and I'm kind of that way when I'm penciling. You know, I mean, take a look at this. I mean, this is like a number 2, you know, pencil you'd use it, you know, in high school or whatever. It just happened to be laying there, and so I'm using it because a pencil is a pencil is a pencil. Of course, you have to get a lead that you're comfortable with that kind of. And I usually go with an HB because it's not too hard, it's not too soft, it's just right. And I'm not sure like that. I'll do this. It's amazing when you're doing these sketches. This is the hard thing when you're doing, you know, commissions for people. And right now, because things are pretty slow for me, I'm doing actually a lot of commissions. It's really hard to come up with, you know, unique poses when you've been doing this for 30 years that you haven't done before. I mean, that's kind of the cool thing about like someone like Adam Hughes, because he always not always, but a lot of times interjects a humorous scene into what he's drawing, and that sort of dictates the pose, where I'm just kind of, you know, I'm just drawing the figure. I'm not really trying to create a scene for the character to be in. And I know guys like, and I mean, I probably said this before, was it, I think Sienkiewicz has like, he'll take like templates of, you know, 3 or 4 different templates to do conventions with, you know, so that for the figures, because it really is hard to kind of sort of continually come up with a new pose to put the character in, especially if you're drawing a lot of women like I do. It's like there's only so many different poses, you know, before you start repeating yourself. You try to do one, I guess, that works for the character. Do that. Probably should give her big old Frank Cho thighs, because that was also kind of a thing, was her big booty and her thighs, right? Let's see. Nighthawk Warrior is giving me the thumbs up on the pose, so I guess we're okay then. But yes, again, this is a commission for somebody. Speaking of which, I'm going to have to do an Aaron Con here pretty soon, I guess. Because we're not going to... I have got no notification from San Diego, so I assume that means there is no San Diego again this year. Gosh darn it. Hang on a second. I left my good pencil to do a little bit more detail work all the way over here. So let me grab that. So I'm going to start cleaning this up a little bit. All right. I feel like maybe she's a little long-waisted here. Let me see. I'm going to bring, yeah, kind of bring that up like that. Stephen Ing's like, oh, don't make her butt that big. No, I won't. I'll take some off here and just kind of go this route. It's maybe the biggest butt I've ever put on a character before. But I think it's, it's appropriate. So. Oops. Why aren't we all washed out all of a sudden? There we go. Let me get this just right so you get there. I think that's picking up better there. Okay. I'm going to zoom in a little bit because I'm going to work on her face so you guys can see that better. I'll probably either help or hurt the contrast. No, that's not bad. Okay. Badonka. Jeez, David. I would sometimes pre-draw some generic figures before I got to the show so I didn't have to think much when doing a commission. You know, that's really a smart thing to do because it's always easier to work at home when you're not being distracted than it is at a show. That's a good idea, man. I should really do that. You know, just so you have the roughed in figure so that you can then, you know, jump right on it and turn it into whatever character you want to turn it into. Yeah, my nose is off. It's off center. God, why is that so stinking hot? I added an extra light. You know, I'm going to go turn the light down. Sorry. Production values. I don't know how much that'll make a difference, but I was bouncing a spotlight off the ceiling to try and give us a little bit more. I think that's better. Yeah, that's better. Let's see. Angela says, no Shelly tonight. Well, not yet. That doesn't mean she won't drop in. She knows I'm on. So you never know. You never knew. Oh, so I was making the point earlier that I've had no word from San Diego at all. So I can only assume they're once again not going to have the show this year. It's just pretty remarkable, quite frankly, that some of these, you know, regardless of what you think of the pandemic or the safety involved in it, that just shutting stuff down doesn't really make much sense to me. I mean, if people don't want to go, they don't have to go. But man, 2 years without San Diego, that's just devastating to San Diego's economy, I would think. But you know what? I don't get to make those decisions. So I need to jump over and get a shot of this Elasti-Girl's hair because I'm not really doing it right. I hope the FF movie, when they finally do it, is half as good as, you know, Incredibles. Either movie was, because let's face it, that was the best FF movie so far, is The Incredibles. So I do want to keep sort of a wider, rounder face because he sort of has that in the cartoon. So I kind of want to take that and Going to use that as part of her. I don't know if you'd say this is a more realistic look, but a, you know, more comic booky look, a less animated look. I don't know how else you'd put that. Okay. You don't have to worry because there won't be no more shows. We're in lockdown for life. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. I hope the cons get back soon. So do I. Have you heard ReedPop is holding C2E2 EC? Yes, I have heard that. So I'm probably going to go to ECC, but I'm not going to Chicago in December. I only go to Chicago once every couple of years anyway, so I wouldn't be going this year because I went last year, just before the lockdowns began. There's going to be some cons down south. I've already been invited because I'm getting shoulder surgery, like I mentioned last time, to repair a rotator cuff on my right shoulder. I'm going to be out of commission for, I mean, hopefully I'll be able to draw. I can't lift my arm for like 6 weeks, but if I lock it down, I can do what I'm doing here, drawing on, you know, on a drafting table where I actually have to physically lift my shoulder. I won't be able to do that. So the point of me saying that is I got invited to a show in Alabama in April, and it's going to be very tight because it's going to be just 6 weeks after my surgery. So my son, though, said, hey, I'll go with you and carry your bags. And I was like, yeah, okay, I might go. So we'll see. Okay. Man, you're like the ultimate non-optimist when it comes to superhero films. But for some reason, David Williams is like totally on board with the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, and I'm not a Zack Snyder fan at all. So I have no faith that movie's going to be any good. But David is pushing it. So they got the same director who did Spider-Man Far From Home. Barf. Okay, it had its moments. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate Spider-Man Far From Home. Let's see. I met you last year, Sir Aaron. Johnny, you met me where? In Chicago? I'm gonna put this up there. Johnny Fitz, you're from Chicago, right? So you met me last year at the Chicago show? How did I not remember that? I have seen, wait a minute, get off that, and this. I am actually. I don't even care if it sucks. The movie, I'm going to go see it because, you know, come on, it's two monsters fighting. Are you kidding me? So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And David says shoulder surgery. Yeah, I lifted weights way too heavy when I was younger and overtrained a ton, and that's where I first kind of injured my shoulder. But I think all the drawing, when you get this sort of back and forth motion like this, like when you're racing or something, and my drafting table is up at a really, really high angle, so I'm lifting my shoulder up while I'm doing this kind of motion. And I think just over the years, the wear and tear has really has affected it. And so it's kind of not like it's not like I had an event like a football player or basketball player where I blew my shoulder out. It's just been wear and tear over the years, and it's really pretty severely torn. So if I don't address it, I mean, I've been in pain for years from it, but I've just been dealing with it. But if I don't deal with it, he said my whole shoulder could get like blown out, and I could be looking at shoulder replacement, which would really suck. So I'm getting the surgery. But anyway, yeah, enough about my problems. Yes, it was Johnny Fitz says, yes, you were doing a commission where it was a collage of artwork from various artists, and you were working on your table. You know, maybe I was looking down more and I was looking up, and that's why it doesn't ring a bell. Although maybe we hadn't been interacting that much on social media probably till after that. So maybe that's why it doesn't stick in my head. So I'm sorry I don't recall that, but I'm glad we actually met face to face. I hope I wasn't rude or anything. Let's see. I cracked a joke about being old. Well, yeah, that's kind of my running gag. Unfortunately, it's not a joke. It's true. Yes, John Smith, it is old age, man, in more ways than one. All right, finally getting that booty right. Booty. So I want to thin that waist out, but give her a bigger booty. So, and I think I've attained my goal of big bootiness. Let's see. It's cool. No, you were actually the only decent guy I met there. Everyone else, meh. Good. Hopefully we can meet again soon this year, God willing. Absolutely. Well, I won't be in Chicago this year, but I go every other year. Oh, it's bigger than it looks. You got a bad angle on it. See, that's a pretty good booty right there. That's pretty big. So, I don't know what I'm going to do with that other leg. Can I bring it out? I might do that. Yeah, maybe. Okay. Anyway. I gotta go, I gotta check out. Okay, so she's got like this thing going on here. Is this not the image eye? I mean, I don't know. Pixar would do more superhero movies. More superhero movies and less Cars movies. Thank you very much. Okay, so we got the black gloves. She has a big old belt. And then black booty shorts for her big old booty. Still don't know what I'm going to do with that other leg. No, okay. Then I think that's good. Okay, that's the ticket. All right, so I got to fix this hand over here, and then we can actually start inking, I think. Let's see here. She's got big hips to go on with that big booty. Well, that, of course. Oh, David, you're a card, man. All right. It's the first time I've taken art direction from the crowd. Make that booty bigger. The shoulder comes out a little bit too much. Let's correct that. All right. Well, I was going to fix this hand, wasn't I? I'm going to be so obsessed with the booty. It's like one of those things, the more you talk about it, it's like, yeah, make it a little bit bigger. Well, I'll make it a little bit bigger. Kind of like Power Girls' boobs, right? They just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. All right. Oops, sorry. I want to kind of get a look at my perspective, what I want to do here. Yeah, I think that booty's big enough. Where am I at here, man? Let's see. Pixar learned from the second Incredibles movie that they need to not take so long in making movie sequels. I don't think Disney itself cares, since Pixar originally only wanted to make one. That's true. The thing is, the voices for these actors are getting so old. I could start to notice Craig Nelson's voice really kind of getting old and old man sounding. And I thought, man, another couple of years to do another one, he's going to sound like somebody's grandpa. So that's the only thing. It's like, I mean, the voice actors are not quite as bad as when you actually have, the live action stuff. But I mean, that is kind of a thing, is you can only do these franchises for so long because the actors get old. Then you, by necessity, have to reboot them with younger actors. So I always thought things like, casting, although I thought Robert Downey Jr. was great as Iron Man and I wouldn't change a thing. But you look at a guy like that you give him this, the role when he's already well into his 40s, you end up making multiple sequels. You get guys, playing superheroes in their 50s, and it's Hollywood, they get around it, but it's problematic, that's for sure, if you're going to do sequels. I thought, what's her face that was Lois Lane in new Superman movies was the wrong choice, not as an actress, but just at her age. I just figured she was going to be too old before they got too far along in the series of movies. But I guess they're recasting the whole thing anyway, right? But I guess my point is, you have to think about, you're not just casting an actor for one movie, you're casting him for 10 years worth of movies potentially. So, but I guess it all worked out for most of them anyway. All right, I'm going to ink this sucker and we'll get to coloring it. You're high, man. She's got plenty of booty. He's just trying to get me to make this too big. Oh. Incredibles 2 is a truckload of meh. I don't know. I liked Incredibles 2. I didn't think it was as good as the original, but I thought it was good. Here's the thing. I noticed some of these other guys do live feeds. Like, people pay to get their comments. I don't understand that at all, but they pay like $2 or $5 or whatever to have them put their comment up on the screen, and I just do it for free. Am I missing an opportunity for a revenue stream? I saw Soul and I didn't like it. I'm responding to Mark Anthony here. We're changing. Okay, that's not it. There. I saw Soul and didn't like it, and the reason why is because I thought the actual story within the story, just kind of the superficial adventure of this guy, was fine, and the jazz music was cool and all that kind of stuff, but their take on the meaning of life was about as absurd and ridiculous as I've ever seen. And so I rejected it at the end. But then I have Christian convictions about that, so maybe my take on that is not fair, but when you're saying basically that the meaning of life is living life and experiencing life, that's the real meaning of life. Like, well, okay, so basically what you're saying is life is the real meaning of life. That means nothing. So I kind of felt like they didn't really address whenever you do a movie or a comic book, and I have the same problem with the Paul Dini, Alex Ross big Superman book from way back. If you remember that oversized thing that Alex did with Paul Dini. Great story. Superman tries to save the world. People starving, all the hunger and all that kind of stuff. And he realizes he can't do it. Okay, so if Superman can't save the world, who can? Well, the obvious answer is the only person that could would be God, right? But they don't go there. They just go, well, we'll just, try and be better human beings, and that'll solve the problem, when human beings are the problem to begin with. So I find it ridiculous when your solution to humanity's problems are humanity, because they're the ones that created the problems. But anyway, that's we don't have to get into that much deep philosophical conversation. But so anyway, I was not happy with Soul, but it looked fantastic, and it was, again, on the surface, it was a lot of fun and very well done. Ratatouille's awesome. Michael Lynch, amen. Yeah. David Williams, I got 2 amens. How about that, brother? Yes. Humphrey Bear, Pixar has no soul. That's pretty funny. I like that. Yeah, but I guess the moral of the story for me is, if you're going to go someplace that obviously has religious or Christian implications, then you need to go there and explore that and not ignore it, and pretend that it doesn't exist. Because if you're not prepared to deal with it, then just don't do the story, and that's fine. But don't chicken out either. Man, that is a big booty. I know David Williams doesn't think it is, but seriously, that is some big booty right there. Stephen Ing is going, no, her booty's too big, but no, Elasti-Girl's got a big booty, and that's just the way it is. And again, I never used, well, okay, I'm not going to say I never use these Le Pens or these microns when I'm inking, like comic book work. Because as I mentioned before, when you erase them, they can dull up and get kind of gray. And I don't like that. It's easy when you're doing a sketch like this or a commission like this. It's not really a sketch. You kind of go in and punch up the line work so it's dark again. But if you do that on an entire comic book page, it's a lot of work. So I do use these pens on some things to save me a little bit of time. Obviously on backgrounds, ruled backgrounds and things like that. I will use these when I'm doing a comic book page. And I will use them on little things that, when you're using a brush, it's just so much more work to get them right that I can just go in a couple minutes and do it with one of these pens. I will do that. But in fact, let me take a quick pause here and show you something here. I don't know how well you can see it, but these barnacles right here, I did with a pen. And these here, and these on his beard, and these right here, these right here, and these are all pen. And you can't see it obviously in what you're looking at right now, but if you had the original artwork, these are a little, when I erase them, they're going to be a little duller than this black, because I'm using a super black India ink that I just found that's really, really black, which I really like. And even when you erase it, it doesn't really dull that much. Now these up here, I did go in with a brush and did these. And again, you can't really see the detail all that well, so you can't really tell the difference. But it's a little bit harder to make, curved motions like this with a brush and maintain a thin line, So it's just easier to do it with a pen, but I did them with both on here, just kind of, and you can't really tell all that much difference, but these will end up being darker than these on the original art. Of course, when you scan it and punch it up in Photoshop, it all looks the same anyway, but so there's that. The coloring book's going to have 20 images to color. It'll be a 40-page book because every page facing the artwork is going to have a story. So it'll be a short story, like a little couple paragraphs, whatever it is. I don't know. I haven't written any of them yet, so I don't really know how long I'm going to get with them. But they will be so they'll have a little story that sort of describes the image. So it can be a storybook, a black and white storybook. It can be just an art book. Like, hey, I'm not going to color this, but I want to look at the pictures. Or you can actually color in the book, or you can scan the images and color them in Photoshop or whatever. So it's an interesting thing, and it's not. Wrightson did something similar in the 70s. It was all monsters and stuff. Mine's going to be very have a wide variety of subject matter in it because I have a wide variety of subject matter that I'm interested in. So yeah, it's just me ripping off Wrightson again, but it was 40 some years ago, almost 50 years ago. So it's not like. But I thought it's a good way to do an art book, which I really want to do, but also kind of make it interactive so that, people that want to use it, either to practice on or just for the fun of, coloring an image like that, a comic book image, as opposed to the coloring books you're normally going to get where, they're just, most of the time dumb little drawings or something. These are, no offense to people that do coloring books, but, kids' coloring book, this is going to have some, hopefully, what I would consider high-end illustration in it that you can have some fun with and maybe be a little more challenging to color if you're into that. And like I said, if you're not, you just, get it for the artwork. Let's see. Short story example. I don't understand what you mean. This lady has an ample bosom and a large booty. Have fun coloring. Might be a little longer than that. Do I ever consider coloring first before you ink it? Yes, I have, and I don't. The reason I don't is because the pencils, sometimes the ink smears a little bit, but the pencils do too. And it's kind of like, I don't know. As my old grandpappy used to say, 6 one way, half a dozen another. David does really good marker stuff. You guys, if you want to get a good commission, David Williams will hook you up. I don't know if he's doing commissions right now, but we all do commissions at some point. I don't know. I've kind of got a system going, David, right now. So it's kind of like, maybe I need to kind of look at doing things differently once in a while because it's just comfortable because I've been doing it this way for so long. But I actually did one commission for a guy. Well, actually, I did the piece on spec and then just kind of put it out there and see if someone would buy it. But it was a Spider-Man piece with Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy, and I didn't use any ink lines. I penciled it, and then I just used markers to kind of like you would a watercolor or something. And it was okay. Turned out all right. Yeah, let's give David another plug here. It's right there. I know, David, you know what? I have a piece from you that I bought from you, just like a pencil piece, but I need you to do something in my sketchbook. In fact, I just don't run into you at shows, so I'm never able to get you to do anything in there. Okay. I'm using a 1.0 here, and it's actually, I think it's too thin of a line for this rough of paper. So I'm going to upgrade here to a, well, this is a 5. I really wouldn't mind having a 3, but I'm not going to go hunt down a 3. David Sorensen, oh my goodness. It's a long time no see. Still have many black and white prints from the 90s of yours. Yeah, that was, that's how I used to like make money when I was at shows, and I really hadn't done much professionally. So I would do whatever was popular. I'd do these black and white 8.5 by 11 prints, and then I would hand color them with markers at the shows, you know, for pretty much dirt cheap. But of course, they really weren't that good anyway. So I guess you got your money's worth. But yeah, I was do what I could to make a buck. But yeah, I used to do this. I think I used to color them for $15, and it took me forever. But when you don't have, you know, you don't really have any sort of clout, you can't charge a ton. And for me, it was always how much money was I going home with, not how necessarily how much money I was making per hour or whatever the case may be. That's an interesting mix. Everybody has a viewpoint on who they think your inspirations are or where they see influences. I had somebody once tell me, "Oh, your stuff reminds me of Gene Colan," which I thought just blew me away because I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And I like Gene Colan, but he's certainly no one I ever really looked at in terms of, you know, for style or to emulate or anything. So it was just really bizarre that he would say that. And I've had other people just say, you know, weird stuff like, because I think every once in a while you do something and for whatever reason it happens to look like a particular artist that may have probably not have influenced you at all. And it just, for some reason, we got a lot of stuff in our memory banks that we picked up over the years from looking at a gazillion different artists. And so it's not, you know, it's not surprising that every once in a while something, you know, a bit of someone's style might show up. I mean, I'm a big David Finch fan, but the thing is, Finch does a lot of what Wrightson would do, you know what I mean, in terms of black placement, spotting blacks, using them to create volume. And David does it exceptionally well. But that's what Wrightson used to do so great too, was use blacks to create a volume or three-dimensional quality to the work. And Finch does a great job of that. I don't do that much. I mean, Finch does it on everything. I do it when I'm doing monster stuff or something that feels atmospheric, that I felt like needs shadow work and stuff in it. But I don't do it all the time. So it's really funny when I do stuff that has heavy shadows in it, like that pirate piece I'm working on. everybody goes, wow, that looks like Wrightson. And it's true, because that's one of my influences, especially for that stuff. But if I'm doing superhero work, you don't see, there's nothing about my work that would make you think that I'm a Wrightson fan. A lot of the angles I pick when I'm doing storytelling and stuff, I owe a lot to Neil Adams, because he was a guy that I really looked at a ton growing up, but only as a superhero artist, Wrightson I always sort of looked at as more of an illustrator than a comic book artist. And so, when I do illustration, or stuff that I would consider illustration, tends to lean more in that direction. I mean, Frazetta was a huge influence on me too, but Frazetta was a huge influence on Wrightson as well. So all that sort of, mixes in together. Let's see. Sometimes I will ink with the finest micron erase pencils, color than going with bold inks, if that's a choice for you. Oh, interesting. I don't know. It's like I was saying earlier, responding to David Williams' comment, is that I tend to, work out a system when I'm doing stuff like this, because generally this is more of a convention art style. I don't like to call them sketches anymore, because they're not. They're way more involved than sketches. A sketch is like a loose pencil drawing. These are not sketches. They're illustrations, but they're done in a certain style at a certain speed. To fit within the price range of what you're charging for them. But, this is just how I do them, and found a way to do them efficiently. So, but like I said, I'm not opposed to trying something new. But I'm not going to do it on a live feed where I could screw it up and make myself look like a bigger idiot than I already do. Oh yeah, baby. All right, so as I sit here thinking once again, oops, I did not get my big eraser, which I need to do to erase her big butt. That was a little bit of a joke there, very little bit of a joke. Okay. All right, so now I have a big eraser to erase her big butt with. And again, I don't erase every single line. I kind of do a loose eraser job. When I'm erasing my comic book pages, I've showed you guys that before, I use those little pink pearl, well, not pink pearl, but they're the pink pencil topper erasers, because I can get a real kind of fine point on there and kind of get small areas without, and I try not to go over the top of solid black areas, because like I said, I don't want to dull them, D-U-L-L. This, of course, I'm being a little bit more carefree, because like I said, it's really pretty easy to punch up this black on these things. Okay, so all right, so now I'm going to go in and do the coloring on her face first. Look at Lloyd Delegard. He's not a fan of Finch. He's not a fan of Neil Adams either. Well, Lloyd, who are you a fan of? There you go. Compliment the host and you get your name up on there. Thank you. I appreciate it, Mark. Let's go in here. Now, I just bought some new Prismacolor colored pencils. So let's use them on her face. So what have I got here? I've got Rose Deco. This is a really sort of light pink. I don't even know if it'll pick up. But much like I do with the, when I use the zero grays or whatever. Still got some pencil in there I want to get rid of. I kind of put this light coloring. Yeah, you won't even pick up, really. I don't know, you probably still can't even see it. But I'm just laying in a real light pink over the top of this, and then I'll build that up with some other colors. And I try to keep my line work when I'm doing these colored pencils. I mean, I'll smear it with a tissue or my finger or something to kind of soften it a little bit, but I also like to sort of crosshatch the line work over the top as I lay the colors down. Okay, this is a rose salmon, not salmon, salmon, S-A-U-M-O-N. I don't know what that means, but there it is. So we'll use that to kind of darken this up a little bit. Get this out here. Eventually these colors will start showing up. And of course I'll post this on like Facebook and Twitter and MeWe and Instagram and every place else. You can actually see it with a scan or a photograph. The color will show up better than it's showing up right now. And then I'll go over, see, like real lightly at a different angle, so it kind of cross hatches the color over the top, and that sort of it blends it, without you actually blending it. Okay, what else do I got here? This is like a pink. I don't know what that's going to look like either. Let's see. Oops. So you can see I'm getting, some flesh color in there. Was hoping when I paid extra to get the HD on here that this stuff would show up better, but it still doesn't. Which, doggone, ripping me off. Okay, so I'm going to go back over this with, because I'm getting, so you can't see it, but I'm getting some vertical lines like this that I don't really like. So I'm going to go over it again like a crosshatch with a lighter shade of flesh or pink here that'll soften those lines. And again, all I have to do is take a tissue over this, which I still will do, and smudge it, and it'll really soften it. All right, so I've been messing around with all these different. I got a red to do the cheeks with. So I go real lightly on there because I don't want these really bright red cheeks. And I want it to blend and be soft. So I'll bring this into a close-up so you can see it a little bit better here in a minute. And then I got, this is kind of a brownish orange, cadmium orange hue. There you go. Just going to outline a little bit. Face here. See, I want it darker around her eyes. It'll make her eyes stand out more. I don't know that I'm going to work too hard to establish a light source on her face. I don't really think that's that big of a deal on something like this. And I did get a darker brown and a violet. Where's the violet at? It's actually more of a mauve. Delilah purple. And I'm going to use that over her eyes. A little bit darker in her mask. Yep. Kind of see it there. I think the color on this is a little bit richer than what's a lot richer than what you're seeing on screen. But all right, so she's got brown hair, but I'm going to go in with some warm grays first, and then I'm going to color over the top of that with a brown colored pencil. So this is a 0. Again, I'm just laying down a kind of a layer of foundation. Okay. And then I'm going to go with a W2, so warm number 2. Just trying to create some different values and highlights in this hair that then I can just kind of go over it with the colored pencil, and I don't really have to be as concerned about making highlights and stuff with the colored pencil because they're already established with the markers. Okay. Actually, I'm going to go with a XL3 ad. Yeah, I tell you, as much as I try to get ready for these live feeds, I never have everything sitting right next to me like I need to. So pardon me, my departure for a second here as I try and find my warm number 3. Here it is. Oh, bonk into the camera. Okay. All right, so I'm going to put it darker here because these are technically her roots, right? And then her tips, which essentially leaves me this highlight running through here. That's kind of what I'm going for. Maybe a little bit of shadow here. And so then those white areas here are going to serve as my highlights. I may use this to put a little shadow underneath her chin. Okay, so now that brown that I just recently bought, this is a sienna brown, which I was hoping it was. Siennas have a little bit of red to them, so it's a really nice. Although this doesn't really look like a sienna, it looks more brown, but it's all right. She has brown hair, so there's no reason why not to use a brown colored pencil. So I can just basically color over the whole area really lightly. And I'm still going to maintain those highlights that are in there. And then I will, go ahead and cross hatch over the top of that to darken this in a little bit. And so then you got this. It looks gray, but it's actually sort of brown. So it's something I'm not 100% happy with right here. And then just a little bit. Okay. All right, so this part of her costume is red, and I'm going to do that with marker, not colored pencil. So I'm going to go in with a YR09, which is a Chinese orange. It's a very orange red, but I don't like a real deep red. This is kind of a lighter red. And then I can go over the top of that with a darker red, which I have. I'm not going to put any highlights in with this. I'll do it with my white pencil after the fact. It looks really orange on screen, but it's not that orange. It's has much more of a red slant to it. You have to take my word for it. Again, when I post these scans, you'll be able to tell. You'll see the difference. I don't like these things looking splotchy either. So again, I'll try to do some cross hatching over the top of this with the marker so it gives a flatter look to the color. Again, I don't think you can really pick that up in what you're seeing on screen, but it's very noticeable to me when I do it. Some guys do this to create kind of a line work pattern that looks actually really cool stylistically. And it probably would be smarter if I did that because it'd be a little easier to control. Trying to keep these things as flat colors so they don't get splotchy is really difficult. But again, if I cross hatch over the top of it a lot of the time, that eliminates a lot of the issues. I'll go ahead and color these in down here. So you can see a little bit of the line problem. It's 10 times worse than what you're seeing. So that is why I will go over it like this. And again, sort of create a little pattern there that's much more comfortable to look at and doesn't look as splotchy. It almost looks like it could be a fabric pattern. You can't see it. It looks completely flat right now, but it's got kind of a pattern on it. I'm going to go in with a, what am I using here? A rose, what is this? No, it's called Prawn. Go figure. So there's a little bit of a deeper red that I'm going to use for kind of like the shadow areas here. I'm going to do that over the top of the other red, which also helps smooth it out a little bit. Don't worry, I know I went outside the lines, but we'll fix that. All right, I gotta figure out, again, I'm gonna go take a quick look at my Elasti-Girl reference. So her belt is kind of a, I guess it's yellow-ish. It's kind of an orangish yellowish. So what do we do there? Well, I don't really, let's see. Since it is yellow, I'm going to go with a warm gray to kind of set the tone, if you will, simply because that leans towards the yellow. So that's yellow, so I'm going to put a warm 0 over this and one over this. Then I'm going to go with a warm 2, and I'm not going to touch this eye because that eye is a yellow. This right here is more of an orange yellow, so I'm going to put a little bit of darker yellow or a warm gray on it. Okay, then I'm going to look around and realize that yet again one of the pencils I need is over off screen, so I'm going to get up and grab it. I'm going to grab an orange, and I got a yellow that I think will do the trick. Okay, let's see here. Man, she's got a big booty. Okay. So I just hit this with some yellow again. I doubt very much that it's going to show up very well on your on the screen, but yeah. And then I'm going to hit this with a yellow here. Well, let me zoom in. Maybe you can see it a little bit better. I'm zoomed in as far as I can go. All right. So I'm going to hit this with a yellow. I'm going to hit this with a yellow. And then I'm going to go over these lightly with orange. It's not going to change it to orange, but it's going to give it it's going to lean over in that direction more. I can go with my finger and soften this like that. So this becomes a darker orangish yellow, where the eye is more of a yellow, and the belt is a darker orangish yellow. I'll do it like that, and then I'm going to go this way to crosshatch again to sort of helps blend that color a little bit. I think maybe it needs, let's see. Okay. Yeah, again, you guys, this is not accurate color-wise. You're going to have to check out what I post on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram after I'm done with it, so you can actually see what the real colors are looking like. Okay, so we're getting close to the big finale. Now this is black in here, so we'll go ahead and do that. I really wish I could get this stuff color corrected, but there's only so much I have control over, I'm afraid. and I'm gonna go with some cool grays into these blacks areas. I'm gonna use a 5. Now these bleed the black a little bit, but I don't care because that's kind of what I want to go for. Oh, and just for the record, this is a 9x12, and these I do full color for 150, so pretty much the same thing as the ones I had on last Aaron Con for sale. They range between 150 and $200 depending on, you know, exactly what I put into the piece. The Red Sonja one was $200, and the Wonder Woman one I think was $200 last time. The rest were 150, just because the Red Sonja was more involved. And so was the Wonder Woman piece. But like the Invisible Girl pieces I did were 150. This is a cool gray 3. Got some of that mask I need to do. Okay. Let's see here. I know she doesn't have blue eyes, but I'm going to give her blue eyes just because it stands out a little bit more. Again, I don't know if you guys are even going to be able to tell. Not much. Okay. And I'll go back in and do her lips with a marker. Okay. So what do we have left? Well, I'm going to re-outline it kind of to punch it up because I know there's some areas here that need it. Actually, here's a darker brown. I think I'm going to go in, add a little bit more to this hair, although it's not that much darker. It's not making that much difference. Actually, it is. You guys can't really tell. It still kind of looks like a steel gray looking thing, but it's very much brown. Yeah, that's better. Okay. So we're going to go over again with an 8-0 here, Bing, Le Pen, to darken these lines, because that's just kind of what I do. I think punch up her jawline here so it doesn't get lost. Just a little bit. Okay, let's see. This should be a print. The belt and symbols seem faded. Dude, I'm telling you, when you see it in the scan, it'll look different. You got to trust me. What you're seeing is a little bit washed out. Put a little bit of line work in there just for the heck of it. Putting this really heavy line on here, and then when I go over the outline it with the marker, really sort of brings it all together and makes it feel like a solid piece of finished artwork, suitable for framing. Okay. So I'm going to do a little bit of punch up her eyes just a little bit. So they stand out a little bit more, the eyeliner and eyelashes. Because again, when you hit it with that colored pencil, it really kind of dulls it. So eyes come alive a little bit. Okay, what else? Actually, I want a little heavier shadow area in a couple places. I'm not getting enough separation here. So I'll do that. There we go. And as I've said before, I'm sure that going over colored pencil with a marker is really a nice look because it kind of smears the colored pencil, but it also ruins the tip of your pen. So do it with caution. I have quite a few extra tips, but still. But I always tend to do things and worry about the consequences later. All right. Okay. So now let's finish this off by taking my warm 3. Lloyd, I know the hair looks gray. You guys are telling me stuff that I'm telling you, it's brown. When you see the scan, it'll look brown. I promise you. You can't even hardly see that outline. See, there it goes. Yes, I know her hair looks gray. It's brown. Trust me. Again, the colors that you are seeing on your monitor right now are not accurate to what this actually looks like. It's the best I can do for color correction, but it's not perfect. And certain colors don't show up as well as others. The reds tend to go orange, and like turquoise and things like that tends to go really green. It's just, there's a white balance problem, quite frankly, because of the reflection of the white paper against the board, which causes these cameras grief. I suppose if I was really up on my stuff I learned in film school but have all but forgotten, I could white balance this and it would probably look better. But all right, so let me say, Aaron, what's left to do? Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to do a little bit of highlights on here. Again, this is a charcoal white, which works really well over markers. It does not work over other colored pencils, though, at all. So if I want to put highlights over colored pencils, I have to go use whiteout or pro white, which I do, but I'm not going to do that right now because it requires a whole new setup. And it's not something I'm going to do on my lap normally. Okay, so see, this is all marker here, so I can go in, drop some highlight here if I want to. I can go up here and put a little highlight in here. Here. Just enough to make it look shiny. All right. Let's see if I can zoom out a little bit here. You can kind of see. Again, the colors you're seeing are not accurate. So okay. Lloyd, I'm telling you, when I post this on Twitter, it'll look very different. Thank you, Gary. Okay. Again, these colors are like that orange. The orange, her costume is red, and her face has much more color in it, and her hair is much browner, you know. But again, we're looking at, you know, technique. You can see that the outline around, by punching up the dark lines, the holding lines, contour lines around her, then hitting it with that marker really sort of gives it a finished look. So yeah, so look for this on, I mean, shortly after this video is over, I'll scan this and post it. And then you can you'll be able to see exactly what it looks like. But anyway, there you have it. Okay, let me address the audience here before. Stephen Ing says, looks great, Aaron. Good. Stephen's the one paying for this, so I hope you like it. Oh, you know what? I'll sign it before I forget, because I've done that before and we don't want to do that again. I know I got to remember to write 2021, which I did. Okay, I need Biden to sign an executive order giving me ownership of more Lopresti art. Hey, it's the socialist way, right? Take my stuff and give it to you. See, now this is the kind of commentary I think is really helpful from other professionals. I'm colorblind. I can't tell the difference. Let's see. Aaron, you did a fantastic. Keep it up. Whoever gets this drawing from you should cherish it. Thank you very much, Nighthawk. I appreciate that. Costume looks redder as you pull back. Lovely piece. Thank you. If I keep going back and back and back and back and oh, it does get redder, doesn't it? And it's still redder than what you're seeing there. So, okay. You guys, thanks. Woo! Let's do this. Oh my gosh, intense close-up. Why don't we do that? Yeah, a little breathing room. Oh, looks like the Chiefs beat the Buffalo Bills. Oh well. Okay, hey, there you have it. That was it. We went an hour and a half. Well, I guess that's how long it took to do the drawing. So I won't keep you any later. Thanks everybody for joining me. I appreciate it. David Williams. It's always nice to have a professional drop in and join the show. So I appreciate that. Again, I'm going to get you on, man, and we'll talk about your comic and what you're doing, because I really dig your stuff, and we should be promoting each other. Everybody else that joined me, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to do these more often. I swear it. So keep your eyes open. I don't give you much notice, but I appreciate everybody that took the time to drop in. So we will chat with you guys next time, and thank you. We'll see you.